Hello viewers, welcome back to our series of lectures on the topic electromagnetic spectrum, that is absorption spectra. In this series we have so far talked about the UV visible spectroscopy, and now currently we are talking about IR spectroscopy, and we will continue our discussion on IR spectroscopy, and in today's session we will talk about the structure spectrum correlations. The session is planned as follows, that is typically as we have been doing all these times, that is we will begin by recalling what we have done so far in the previous session and all, and having done that we will move on to the main theme of today's session, that is structure spectral correlations, and for this we will take large number of molecules spanning over wide range of functional groups, and then we will try to see that what kind of functional groups give what kind of spectra. We will try to find out some kind of correlation between the two. Then thereafter we will try to compile on the basis of this kind of correlations, we will compile the characteristic vibration frequencies for different functional groups. That is what we are going to make use of in the later sessions there. And towards the end we will try to sum up what we do in today's session. Okay. Now let us recall what we have done so far. What we have done so far is, that is we started by defining IR spectroscopy and outlined its importance. Thereafter we looked into the IR spectrum and kind of outlined its characteristics. Having done that, we explained the origin of IR spectrum, we went into a little of theory and discussed the measurement of IR spectrum. That is, we talked about what kind of instruments are used, what kind of sample handling is done and things like that. Then thereafter we discussed, this is very crucial, what we did in the previous session was what are the different factors which affect IR spectrum, because that actually is a basis for today's session, that is the structure function structure spectrum correlation. In this context we talked about different structural factors over there, to be specific. Then thereafter we explained the concept of characteristic group frequencies and rationalized it, because that is the most crucial component of IR spectrum, which we are going to make use of in today and tomorrow and the next session thereafter. And then we also did make a mention of what is meant by fingerprint region and what is its significance in terms of kind of authenticating a given sample. Okay. So we have come so far. Now let us continue and talk about the today's theme, that is structure spectrum correlations. Now what we are going to do now is, we will take up, as I mentioned before, we will take up the spectra of different range of molecules, that means molecules are having different functional groups over there, and we will try to see that for a given functional group what are the characteristic frequencies we have to take note of. So once we do that, thereafter we will try to compile these kind of frequencies, and then thereafter in the next session we will try to make use of these correlations to interpret the IR spectra of unknown compounds there. Okay. Now let us make a beginning by taking one very simple class of compound, that is hydrocarbons, and I am showing you the spectrum of molecule like decane. It is a simple hydrocarbon, long chain hydrocarbon over there. Now what do we look forward to in this kind of a spectrum? Let us look at it. Now firstly, typically if you want to make a kind of a use of IR spectrum, one thing is, that is, as I mentioned in the previous session, we have to focus attention primarily onto the characteristic group frequencies region, that is from 1500 centimeter inverse to about 4000 centimeter inverse. So that is the range we are going to focus attention on, and the fingerprint region sometimes we make use of it if there are certain frequencies pertaining to a particular functional group is there, but more than often than not we will focus attention only on to the range from about 1500 centimeter inverse to 4000 centimeter inverse. And typically this line I have drawn here is at 3000 centimeter inverse. This is very important, because there are a lot of things which happen around this frequency. Okay, let us try to see how do we go about it. The first and foremost thing which typically what we observe in hydrocarbons is this signal over there. This signal is slightly below 3000 centimeter inverse, that is from 2900 to about 3000 centimeter inverse, and in this region what we observe is, we observe that CH stretching. That means in this molecule hydrocarbon here, there are a variety of CH stretchings are there. So whether they are terminal ones or somewhere in between and all, so all those CH stretchings are observed in this region here. So as marked over here, we will have CH2 stretching here and then CH3, the terminal ones over here. So this is a region where we expect the hydrocarbons to show their stretching frequencies, that is the CH stretching. That is one very characteristic feature of hydrocarbons. Second thing which we have to look forward to is the sent of signals over here around 1380 to 1460 centimeter inverse, which basically pertain to the CH bending mode, because we know that a molecule executes variety of vibrations, and the typical ones are stretching and bending and rocking and things like that. So, from hydrocarbons point of view, the two most common frequencies to look forward to are these two, and more often than not this is the characteristic one over here. This is the most crucial identifier for a hydrocarbon there. This also helps sometimes over there. Okay. Now, yet another frequency we can observe somewhere around 725 centimeter inverse, which is basically because of the CC bending. This was CH bending, this is CC bending. This does not have too much of importance in terms of identifying or kind of establishing the identity of molecule, but in terms of fingerprints, yes, but in terms of group frequencies, no. Okay, let us move further and talk about another hydrocarbon. Now, this molecule is decene, that is I am using an alkene now. So, what happens to a spectrum if I take an alkene here? Now, what you see is that when you have an alkene, so we have alkene here, DAC1-ene, and this is a double bond here, and all of them are single bonds over there. Now, when you have this kind of a molecule, what spectra we get here? Let us look at it. Again, we will draw a line around 3000 centimeter inverse and look forward here. What you see is typically, as you observed in the decene molecule, that is a saturated hydrocarbon, we observe the same CH stretchings here, which are observed less than about 3000 centimeter inverse, just below this line here, 3000 centimeter inverse. Now, in addition to that, what you find is that there is a signal here. This is around slightly above 3000 centimeter inverse, about 3100 or so, and this basically is the CH stretching coming because of alkene here. Because if you remember in the previous session, we said the vibration frequency will depend on the hybridization of the carbon atom to which the hydrogen is attached. So, in this case, in case of this alkene here, so this hydrogen is attached to a carbon atom which is sp2 hybridized. So, in this case, the vibration frequency will go to a higher value here. So, this is characteristic of it. So, now suppose in a molecule, if I am looking at a spectrum of unknown molecule and this band is not there, we have all signals only below 3000, we can conclude that it does not have any unsaturation. So, it is very, very important to note that this signal is very, very crucial here. This is there in all hydrocarbons, but this is characteristic of an unsaturation here. Let us move further. This again is another important signal here around 600 centimeter inverse, which basically is because of C double bond C stretching here. Like this double bond C, this stretching will come somewhere around 1600. So, suppose in a molecule, if I look at a spectra and find some signal over here, and this signal around 63 or 70 or maybe 3100 or so, and it is accompanied by a signal somewhere around 1600, we can say that this molecule has unsaturation. This is a very, very significant signal. This is a supplementary signal over there. Then in addition to that, we have typical signals of hydrocarbons, CH bending and C double bond CH2 bending mode over there. So, they are not as significant in terms of interpretation. The most significant takeaway from this spectrum is that is this signal here around slightly above 3000 centimeter inverse, that is basically alkene CH, and then of course, this is important here. Okay. So, hydrocarbons we know what to look forward to. Saturated hydrocarbon we have seen the previous spectrum, in this case it is unsaturated one. Now, suppose we go to alkyne. Now, this is the spectrum for pentyne. Now, in this case I am having a C triple bond C here, then this is my CH here, this is an alkyne group over here. In this case, what happens to spectrum? Let us look at it. Again we draw a line at around 3000 centimeter inverse, we find that typical all alkanes will have it. So, this is my CH stretching, CH2, CH3 and things will come somewhere here slightly below 3000 centimeter inverse. But what do I observe further is one very, very characteristic frequency somewhere around 3200 or 3300. This is alkenyl, that is this signal, this C triple bond C H, this CH will come somewhere around 3300. It is a characteristic frequency of alkyne. Then of course, we have got another very, very important characteristic frequency of alkynes is somewhere around 2200 centimeter inverse, which basically is because of C triple bond C, because we know that C triple bond C is a strong bond. So, since it is a very strong bond, the force constant is high, the vibration frequency is large. So, C single bond C will come somewhere here, C double bond C will come somewhere here, C triple bond C is very characteristic over there. So, in case of molecules which are alkynes, two very characteristic signals are one around 3300, one around 2200. So, this is the CH stretching, that is alkynic CH stretching, and this is my C triple bond C. Then of course, we have got other CH bending and things like that. So, these are typical frequencies coming from the alkynes over there. Okay. So, this is typical of alkynes. Let us talk about yet another kind of hydrocarbon, that is an aromatic hydrocarbon, and the typical example we take here of that of benzene. Now, in case of benzene, what do we observe? Again we draw a line around 3000 centimeter inverse. So, what you find is that there is nothing below 3000 centimeter inverse. What you are observing is, we are observing signals very close to 3000 centimeter inverse, but on the higher side of it. That is typical signal which comes because of aromatic hydrogen, that is CH stretching of benzene ring or an aromatic ring over there. This is again very crucial and characteristic of it. The second characteristic what you observe is somewhere around 1478, it can extend up to say about 600 centimeter inverse or so, depending on what kind of molecule we are talking about. So, in case of benzene, it is observed around 1478 centimeter. It is a characteristic frequency here, that is of CC stretching there. And then in addition to that, what you have is, we have got a bending mode here, that is CH bending, which is outer plane. It is somewhere around 667 centimeter inverse. So, that is the spectrum for my benzene molecule, and the most important signal here to look forward to is these two, that is the one here slightly above 3000 centimeter inverse, and then accompanied by a signal somewhere around 1500 to 600 centimeter inverse. These two put together are a good enough indication of the molecule being aromatic there. The region here is also used in case we want to establish the kind of substitution pattern on an aromatic molecule. Let us take that kind of an example here. Now, we take the molecule of toluene here, we know it is an aromatic hydrocarbon again. Now, in this case what you will see is that if I draw a line at 3000 centimeter inverse, what I observe? What I observe is there are certain signals here, which is this most characteristic signal which we are looking forward to here is slightly above 3000 centimeter inverse, which is basically ARH, that is the aromatic CH here. This is coming, the stretching mode of this is observed around slightly above 3000, around 3030 centimeter inverse or so. In addition to that, what you have is, we have signals here slightly below that of 3000 centimeter inverse, and that we know is because of the part over there, that is a CH3 here, which is showing somewhere here, which we know that it is an hydrocarbon part of it. So, alkane CH stretching will come slightly below 3000 centimeter inverse. In addition to that, what you observe is that, as I mentioned earlier, we have a CC stretching here around 1478, similar to what we had in case of benzene. So, this signal 3030 plus this one, the two put together establish that this molecule is having an aromatic moiety over there or aromatic ring over there. In addition to that, we have one more very important signal here somewhere around this region here. So, this is around 650 or somewhere over there, 652, around 750 and things like that. Now, this typically happens to contain two signals there. So, what are the signals, where are they located, what is the intensity pattern, that is typically used to establish the kind of substitution pattern on the aromatic ring there. So, in this case, what is being shown on this spectrum is, this is typical of mono substitution. The two signals over here, the way they are there, they are typical of the mono substitution, and we know that this is benzene ring substituted by a methyl group over there. So, that is the spectrum for toluene molecule. So, the take home from this spectrum is that we have two signals here, very important one, 3030 and around 1500 centimeter inverse. These two put together establish the presence of an aromatic ring, and the signal somewhere here is about the substitution pattern there. We will make use of it in the next session. Okay. Let us move further. Let us move further. Before we go there, there is one small set of signals here, which is called as combination bands. They are not very characteristics, but they are typically observed in certain aromatic molecules there. Now, let us move further and take up yet another class of molecules, that is alcohols. So, the spectrum shown here is that of heptanol, that is heptane 1-ol. Now, in this case, what are the characteristics there? Let us look at it. We again draw a line around 3000 centimeter inverse, and what do we observe is, this is typical what we expected here. Now, by now we know that in any molecule which has got hydrocarbon component will give me CH stretching somewhere below 3000 centimeter inverse. Now, in addition to that, what you are observing in this molecule, this structure here, the spectrum here is this broad signal here. This is a very characteristic signal which can spread around from 3200 to 3400 in this particular case. It can even go beyond further down here. So, it can be very broad signal. So, it can even start from 2500 centimeter inverse to 3500 centimeter inverse. It can be very broad signal as well. That is typical of OH stretching, and if it happens to be a sharp signal, that indicates a typical OH there. But if the OH happens to be hydrogen bonded, we get a broad spectrum there. That we discussed in the previous session also. So, this indicates that we got an OH group here, which is the broad signal indicates it is a hydrogen bonded system there. In addition to that, what you have is we have this signal here whose location actually will depend on the kind of alcohol we are using. So, this is somewhere around 1000 to 1200 centimeter inverse there. Okay. Now, what you find is that this is the characteristic here. This and this two put together are characteristic of alcohols. We should keep it in mind, because if I look at a spectrum, I want to see whether the molecule contains an alcohol or not. So, these are two things to look forward to. Okay. Let us move further and see that this CO stretching frequency, what I just mentioned, around 1000 to 1200 centimeter inverse, that actually depends on the type of alcohol there. Let us look at it. This is butanol 1 spectrum, that is the primary alcohol there. So, in this case, we find that CO stretching frequency is somewhere here. Now, if I move on to the secondary butanol, so in this case, what I find, the frequency has shifted to slightly higher value there. And if I move on to the tertiary system there, we find that it is at still higher value there. I have not given the numbers here, but what we can see is that there is a shift in the vibration frequency there. Let us look at this picture here. This picture has all the 3 spectra superimposed on each other. So, this is very interesting here. So, what you observe from here is that all this is a spectrum of butanol 1, that is the primary, secondary and tertiary alcohol there. Now, what you find is that this region here, broad kind of band over there around 3300 centimeter inverse and things like that, that happens to be roughly the same in all the 3 systems. Whereas, this CO stretching, this is for the primary system, this is for the secondary one, this is for the tertiary one there. So, that's how do we make out what kind of alcohol is there, because this is the characteristic one, this and this is a combination of for an alcohol, and the location of this will tell me what kind of alcohol is it. This picture is slightly blown up version of the same spectrum here, and this is the region for the OH stretching there. Okay, let us move further. So, what we have seen is that alcohols have got 2 very characteristic signals there, and we know that how to read them. Okay. Now, let us move further and talk about yet another class of molecules, what is called as the amines there, and I am taking butamine, that is the primary amine over there. In case of primary amines, again we will look only for the characteristic signals now. We draw a line around 3000, and what you find is this is, because this we know, this is we are familiar with by now, that this is my CH stretching there. But what is important is that these 2 signals here, typically there are 2 peaks, which is somewhere around 3300 to 3500 centimeter inverse, that is typical of NH stretching. And if you get 2 signals here, then it is almost certain that it is going to be a primary amine or maybe a primary amide, both of them, because they have, this is because of NH2. So, that is very characteristic, you cannot even ever miss it. Okay. Now, if I look at dimethylamine, a secondary amine, what do I get? What do I get is, if I look at this 3000 centimeter inverse line here, what I find is, in this example particularly, the spectrum is such that because of the hydrogen bonding here, this has come out to be a very broad signal there, in such a way that is the expected signal, because for a secondary amine, what we expect is, we expect a single peak. That is how do we differentiate between the primary and secondary amine. Primary amine will typically give me 2 signals, as I showed in the previous spectrum, and for secondary amine I will be getting only 1 signal, again for NH stretching, and that will be somewhere in the same region there. That is how do we differentiate. But in this spectrum shown over here, somehow that has been masked over there. Okay. Let us move further and see that, because I just mentioned that this is because of hydrogen bonding, we got a broad spectrum there. Now, if we move further and look at the next class of molecules, say butane, that is the ketones part. I think before I move on to ketones, let me make one more mention there. I have given you spectrum for a primary amine, a secondary amine. Primary amine, two lines, two signals there, or two peaks there. Secondary amine, there is one signal. If I have a tertiary amine, I will not have any, because there is no NH in that. So, there will not be any signal in that range there. So, how do we differentiate between primary, secondary and tertiary amine there. Okay. Now we come down to the ketones there. Now, what kind of things we have to look forward to here? So, what we see is, again we draw our 3000 centimeter inverse line here, and then typically just below this what we are having is our CH stretching there. But the characteristic frequency what we take home from this spectrum is that is of carbonyl stretching there. The carbonyl stretch, that is this CO stretching there, that is somewhere around 1700 to 1725 centimeter inverse. That is the characteristic frequency of a ketone, and this frequency actually can go to a lower side or to a higher side depending on what is the neighborhood of this particular carbonyl group over there. Because if you have an ester or an acid or an amide or in some kind of conjugation there. So, we are seeing that things that if we have got other functionalities nearby, so there can be conjugation. If there is a conjugation, this will go to lower frequency there and things like that. So, but typically a signal around 1700 centimeter inverse is characteristic of a carbonyl group. It could be a ketone or an aldehyde. If it is an aldehyde, we have to look forward to a few more things there. Now, let us move forward to and see what kind of spectrum we get in case of an aldehyde. So, this is butyraldehyde. Now, in this case, what do we observe? What we observe is that typically we got these signals there for my CH stretching, and then this is the characteristic carbonyl group which is coming around 1710 to 1750 centimeter inverse. So, that is the range where we expect an aldehydic carbonyl group there. It has moved to a slightly higher frequency there. But in addition to this, we have got very typical set of frequencies, that is somewhere around 2700 to 2900 centimeter inverse, and that is of CH stretching, this CH of the aldehyde part, this CH I am referring to. So, this is a typical signal which comes as a doublet there. There are two signals come here in this range. So, if we have got a signal for carbonyl group somewhere around 1700 centimeter inverse and coupled with two signals here somewhere around this range 2700 to 2900, it is almost certain that we are dealing with an aldehyde. This set of signals is very informative or useful in terms of interpretation. Okay. Let us move further and move on to yet another class of molecules that is called as carboxylic acids. In case of carboxylic acids, what do we observe? Now, again, since a carboxylic acid has a carbonyl group there, so we will observe the same signal here. Because typically one thing we have to keep mark over here is that is this carbonyl stretching typically is a very intense signal, because that is very characteristic of the carbonyl group there. It comes as a very intense signal there, and of course, the location will depend on the class of molecules they are, it is a part of it. Okay. So, that is one typical signal for a carboxylic acid. In addition to that, what you find is that we have got this OH group there. This OH stretching will come out typically as a broad spectrum there. This can spread from about 2500 to 35 or 3600 centimeter. It can come in a very broad range there. And in addition to that, this is very crucial here. Somewhere around 2500 centimeter inverse, we have in the spectrum there is a shoulder here. You can see that it is not a peak as such, there is a small shoulder here. This is typical of carboxylic acids. So, three things to look forward to: a carbonyl group, OH stretching, and a shoulder here. A shoulder is typical because these two will come for many things there. You can have an alcohol and a carbonyl group somewhere in a molecule, and then these two will be there, but this shoulder is typical of a carboxylic acid there. So, that is what you have to make note of in case of carboxylic acids. Okay. Let us move further and talk about yet another class of molecules called as amides. So, this is again I have taken a simple amide there, butyramide here. Now, in this case we draw that 3000 centimeter inverse line here, and we know that what is over here. Now, in addition to that, in case of butyramide or any amide for that matter, since amide also contains a carbonyl group, so I would first and foremost thing to look forward to will be some signal for this carbonyl there, and that happens to be at typical position of about 1700 centimeter inverse, and it goes slightly to a lower frequency as compared to other carbonyl groups we just talked about. That is typical of amides there. But this is not all, because carbonyl group is there in number of functionalities there, But the characteristic thing here, what you have to look forward to is the signal because of this NH2, and that NH2 comes here. It is similar to what we had in case of amines, the primary amines. Here again we get two signals there. So, whenever you have a spectrum wherein you got a carbonyl group accompanied by two signals somewhere in the range of 3300 centimeter inverse to 3400 centimeter inverse, this is again a very positive indication of the presence of an amide group there. Okay, let us move further. Let us look at yet another functionality, that is the ether here. This is dibutyl ether here. Now, in this case ether again, if you look at the spectrum, we know that this will be my hydrocarbon port, that CH stretching and things like that. But the most crucial vibration frequency which we have to look forward to in case of ether is that of CO here. This CO comes somewhere here, that is around 1050 to about 1150 centimeter inverse. So, that is where we get COC stretching. So, this COC stretching, this is a typical characteristic vibration frequency, because that will not be there in any other molecule other than a ether here. So, this is a very crucial signal, and again it happens to be a intense signal there. So, that is typical of our ethers there. So, this again is some frequency which you have to take note of. Okay. Now, let us move further and look at yet another class of molecules which basically is nitrile. In case of nitrile, what we have is we have got this C triple bond N here. Now, this C triple bond N again is very characteristic, and typically we know that nitriles will be the terminal nitriles. Now, if I look at it again, we know what is this here, because this will be coming n number of times. All molecules, anything which has an hydrocarbon component will show these signals there. But what is important is this signal around 2200 centimeter inverse is for C triple bond N. It is similar to what we had in case of alkynes, where we have got C triple bond C. C triple bond C and C triple bond N have got roughly comparable frequencies. So, if you have got this signal coming there, it could be either because of C triple bond C or because of C triple bond N, because they have got comparable vibration frequencies there. So, what we have done so far is we have seen that what kind of spectra we get for different class of molecules there. That means the molecules having different functionalities there, different functional groups over there. Now, let us sum up all these vibration frequencies what we observed for different kind of molecules in some kind of a compilation here. Let us look at this. So, this basically is a summary of the kind of frequencies we had. So, we know that for alkanes what to expect here, and then where do we get stretching frequencies, where do we get bending one, and so on and so forth. So, this basically kind of compiles, because you look at any book on spectroscopy will give you these kind of tables there, because these are the tables which actually, because we cannot always give all spectra and give the vibration frequencies, it is difficult to comprehend here. But what is typically given in the textbooks is that this kind of tables here, wherein we have different class of molecules written over there and the possible vibration frequencies which we have to look forward to. So, they are typically compiled here. So, this will be a good reference to look forward to in an event of trying to make use of IR spectrum to decipher the structure of a molecule. This is for another set of molecules there, what we discussed, the alcohols, the carbonyl groups, amines, primary, secondary, tertiary, and so on and so forth, or we had in case of say carbonyl groups there. So, these are all molecules having carbonyl group there, but there are different functionalities. You can have ketones, aldehydes, carboxylic acids, amides, and so on and so forth. So, all this kind of compilations you will be coming across in any textbook on spectroscopy, or even organic chemistry textbooks also give you all these tables there, because they have to be kept handy if you want to make use of IR spectrum there, which we will be taking up in the next session. Okay. Let us sum up what we have done today. What we have done today is we basically started by reviewing the contents of the previous session, and then thereafter we discussed the structures spectral correlation, that is the main theme of today's session, and we took wide variety of molecules having different functionalities there. And then towards the end we have tried to just kind of compile these characteristic vibration frequencies for different functional groups there, which we will be making use of in the next session there. Now, in the next session what we are going to do is we will make use of what we learned today, that is all this the spectrum structure correlations and the kind of characteristic frequencies which we have learned so far. So, what we will do is we will use this information to devise a strategy to interpret an IR spectrum. Then on the basis of that strategy we will take the IR spectra of different molecules and try to see that on the basis of spectrum how do we decipher or try to kind of interpret the spectrum in terms of the functional group present in the molecule there. Thank you.